Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the CX-9, which was just added finally to Modern Warfare, which also means it is currently within Warzone. There are a few different bugs going on around with it because people are struggling to unlock the weapon, but previously I had unlocked it organically and it is still available for me. I don't have to do any China challenges. I know some people are going out of their way to buy the blueprint, but currently it is bugged. It's not allowing you to level it, but I will go through the basic stats because fortunately it is still fully unlocked in a private match where you can go in, test the various attachments. I'm going to talk about some of the various stats and give you kind of an idea of what you should be using on the weapon and maybe what you should avoid. If you enjoy the video, learn something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. The attachments for this weapon are very similar to the ISO, so that's kind of what I was going into a mindset, and then tested the weapon, was able to get the damage values like I normally do. I tested that in Warzone private so that I can go ahead and shoot the limbs, shoot the stomach, shoot the chest, shoot the head, check the various distances, do the different damage profiles, all that type of stuff. So we were able to get that. So let's go ahead and go through that. And I was able to find a couple things that may be a little bit weird, a little bit surprising, but we'll go through all of that. Fortunately, since it's a Modern Warfare specific weapon, it's not a Cold War weapon. It has a lot of those properties that we're kind of used to, kind of around a 200 aim down sight for most of the SMGs, except for a few outliers. It falls right in line with that. And pretty much I do all my testing within the private match. So I could test the rate of fire, and pretty much how the rate of fire works. I was testing aim down sight. There that is. When you test rate of fire, you see when you fire the first bullet, you check for reload speed, you check for aim down sight speed. There's a lot of different testing that you can do, and it just depends on how you want to do it. So that's kind of a lot of the mobility stats. I can line up this right here where it says 16 meters, and then I could test the walking speed and basically do a freeze frame when it hits 5 even. Then you do 11 meters divided by the time, and you end up with a meters per second. So I was able to do this for the base weapon, as well as a few different potential meta loadouts that I think you're going to go with, because generally, like I said, since Modern Warfare has been out already for almost 2 years, generally you kind of get some of the similar attachments, and I kind of tested specifically for the ones that where maybe people would swap it out. Tac laser, 5 milliwatt, collapsible stock, monolithic, integrated suppressor, sleight of hand. Some of those that are really important. Obviously, you kind of have to go with the biggest mag. There's almost no exception to that, especially if you're going to be playing Warzone. Modern Warfare, you could probably get away with that, especially when we get to some of the little hidden things as we go throughout it. So I was able to do the testing, swap out the attachments, do the testing again. You see all these different marks I went through. And then I also have it here for testing the damage values. And for the damage testing, I've kind of shown this stuff before, where you go in and look at the in-game damage that pops up on the screen. You have the weapon, you fire at a specific area, you'll go ahead and see it, 1137. Then pretty much I go around, I look at the bot and make sure I hit the specific area at very specific damage ranges so I can get a good idea of what those specific damage values are. And then pretty much you just do pretty much quick math. You do the new number minus the old number, and that'll give you the damage value, and then you plug it in to the specific damage value. Bots aren't very smart in this private quarry that they have in the game. Boom, shot him in the foot. Now we look at the damage value and we add that up, like I said. And then you get those damage values, you plug them into a spreadsheet, use the rate of fire, and then you end up all the TTKs. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the recoil pattern and whether or not this can be used to the mid to long range. So I thought I'd do this within the match so you kind of see the visual recoil, because sometimes, even though sometimes a gun will have that nice little recoil pattern, it's sometimes hard to use. That's like the AMAX. The recoil pattern is really nice, but for some people, the visual recoil, or vice versa, there's other weapons that are like that. And then obviously if you're on console or if you're on, PC with the higher FOV, if we just go ahead and line this up, fire it, and kind of see what the gun does. And this looks like a fairly easy recoil pattern, especially with this thing having over 1,000 RPM. The bullets are coming out pretty quick, and you can't really make any micro adjustments for the side to side, but you can see it goes relatively easy up and to the right, and that's a full 50 round mag, which is a little bit different. But what I would do is all I do is pull down. I think it'd be a little bit harder to use at range, because you can see that this is only about 15 meters or whatever. But at range, it might be a little bit trickier because of that side-to-side bounce. So I don't know if people will like it. Like necessarily as like a sniper support because there's very few guns that fit into that mold. But overall, the recoil isn't crazy, and it's probably not something you'll worry about for most of your engagements, which are within that 20 meters before you're pulling out that rifle or whatever the case is. So overall, pretty straightforward recoil pattern. Kind of just pull down and to the left, and then you're pretty solid. Obviously, the farther you go away, those side-to-side bounces have become a little bit more of an issue because you really cannot adjust for those for how fast the bullets are coming out. But overall, pretty solid recoil, not too bad. Let's go ahead and get into the overall stats and then maybe provide a couple different loadouts, which you'll kind of see on the spreadsheet as well. So that's basically my testing spreadsheet. I got a little bit of comparisons here with certain attachments. One thing I will point out that they did nerf the weapon compared to when it originally came out, because I believe the actual headshot damage was a little bit higher, the chest was a little bit higher, and the limbs was slightly higher than what we have for the damage values here. So it looks like they did tweak it to put it in line with the rest of the weapons. So if it's not feeling as melty as it was before, they kind of made it from a 10 shot, 12 to 10 shot there, and then they lowered that to an 11 shot. So more commonly, you're going to get 11, whereas before you did have the opportunity to get a 10, which was a very fast time to kill. That being said, it's still kind of in the mix there. It's nothing special, but it's not broken in one way or it's not garbage. So it's definitely going to be usable. And we'll get to a few of the different things that I noticed from the testing. So overall, the challenge to get this, if you're looking to unlock it, no, I haven't mentioned that yet. Like I said, they are bugged, but all you need is 2 long shots with an SMG, shoot the ship, go and shoot house, shoot somebody far away, get your 2 long shots, leave the match. Make sure you have an SMG. 5 matches. Probably take you 5-7 minutes. It'll probably take longer to queue up than it will to actually do this challenge, especially if you load it up on hardcore. Could be a little bit faster. So with this one, these are the damage values, which it equals an 8 to 12 shot to kill. And then we have the time to kill, very fast, but you need 7 headshots to ever get that TTK. You would need 4 headshots to get under 500, which that's not realistic. And then 2 headshots would get you down to 10 shots to kill, which is right around 530 milliseconds. 7 chest or stomach, so torso shots in general, will get you that 588. So it's pretty realistic. It's about 70 or no, 7 out of 11. Not too crazy when it comes to landing that amount of shots. And it does have a 17 meter-ish drop off, and then that drops down to 26, 20, and 17. And you can see how that impacts the number of shots to kill. At this range, this is in line with a lot of SMGs, so it'll actually do pretty well. But the thing where it'll probably shine the most is right around that 10-ish to 17 meters, where some of those dominant SMGs up close struggle. That's the MP7, both of the MP5s, as well as the brand new OTS. So this thing's going to be really solid within that other range, which you'll often find people liking because of the MAC-10, Bullfrog, and a few other guns that fit kind of in that range where they're good at that, but they're going to get beat up close like you would get beat by a shotgun. The overall damage per mag, a little bit weak, I would say. 1,300 isn't crazy low because we've seen like 1,000 of the MAC-10, but in general, it is what it is, right? It could be better, it could be worse. It's not putting out a lot of damage, but the DPS is still there because of this high fire rate. Now that we get into that, now let's talk a little bit about the attachments. I went with the basic standard class setup, which is the monolithic Merc foregrip, 50 round drum, and then the no stock attachment. This is pretty much the no stock attachment, which is a CX-FR, because that's going to be the only way you're going to be able to compete in terms of mobility in this meta. That's why MP5, you kind of have to have the collapsible because of that mobility and strafe speed. That's pretty much the only attachments that's going to help with that compared to competing with these Cold War demons, which you're going to see in a quick second. And then we have the 5 milliwatt, get a little bit of hip fire build. This is going to be an optional attachment, as you'll see when we get to it. And you can see the movement here. The default of this thing is a 4.7, but as Modern Warfare weapons are, generally most things will hurt your mobility once you stack them all up because the mag slows you down. Other things slow you down. The collapsible stock is pretty much the only thing saving mobility. So overall, it starts about as fast as it's going to be, and it only slows down, and that's kind of a theme with Modern Warfare weapons versus Cold War tends to be the opposite. They start out okay, and then they speed up in a lot of different areas. And then we have the reload speed. If you have the default, no attachments, it's only 1.2 seconds, which is stupid fast. And then we have 1.8 seconds, which is pretty decent. But the thing that puts this thing over the top is the sleight of hand. It's less than a second reload time, which is basically the fastest in the game. I was trying to think of guns that are in that realm because almost nothing's close. And when you see it in game, it's dumb. We'll go ahead and take a look back at it at the side-by-side when I did the testing so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. It's stupid. And then we have the integral, which is the CX-38S. And one of the biggest problems with this is you can see it slows you down. You're getting a big drop off in speed and mobility here. I have forward strafing, which is basically ADS walking, because true game data uses forward walking to test this strafe speed versus actually lateral movement. So I include both just so you can have the comparison there, because more often than not, the strafe speed is the one you do left to right, and the forward is while you're walking aim down sight. And then we have the aim down sight. You can see it gets atrocious with this integral, and that's why I said it's very similar to the ISO, where you put on that shade, or the Fennec, I think has a similar thing off the top of my head, where it slows you down a lot, or it's the mag causing the issue. So I swapped that out, and you can see that this added like 60 milliseconds onto that. And what I decided to do for a third test is I added on the tack laser. Maybe this could be a way to get that monolithic integral suppressor feel and without slowing you down too much. And then it does get your aim down sight in the realm of 234, which is right within the meta range. It's kind of a little bit slow for SMGs, but right within like a frame of the meta options, and it still keeps you right within the ballpark if you're going to be using this particular loadout. So you got that option there. And then we have the Meta Mac as well as the Meta MW MP5. And these are the specific builds. You can see the movement is ridiculous for these guns. They are a little bit faster. And then we have the straightforward speed. You can see there's a pretty big drop off there. This thing is stupid at almost a 4. You're like moving as fast as you're like walk. It's craziness. And then the side strafe speed, not even competitive. And then the ADS is right in line, and the reload is right at that 2 seconds. Now what I'm gonna do is show you the sleight of hand so you could see it for yourself that it is kind of ridiculous. So right here's kind of where you see the reload. I'm testing the reload, but you can kind of see how fast it, look at the actual ammo. The gun instantly fills up. It's ridiculous. And it actually fills up. It adds the ammo before the reload animation is fully done. Like look at when it actually does that. It's doing that opposite thing. Remember when they added the Cold War guns and you used stopping power? The reload was like half a second after the animation was over. This actually finishes before the animation is done. So right there is when the ammo is in the gun. And if you Y wide or weapon swap, double weapon swap, you can see that the mag isn't even in all the way, but the animation, the actual reload add, which is right here, is already done. So sleight of hand could be nutty, especially if you're playing quads. This makes up for that low damage per mag, or relatively low damage per mag. Now let's go ahead and get into the class setup. So obviously, like I said, the attachments are currently broken, so you'll have to level up the gun, but this is the loadout that I think would be ideal to at least get started with, and then maybe tune it to your preferences. This is gonna give you a reliable ADS. You're never gonna have the strafe speed of a Cold War gun, at least not competitively. It's not gonna be there. You're gonna have to rely on this gun's ability to be able to have decent range, good fire rate. You're going to burn through ammo, but this sleight of hand is going to help you recover that. And it kind of works a lot like that OTS fast mag, that 40 round, where it just doesn't work like it's supposed to, because normally these things shave off 30% reload, maybe you'd be down to 1.2, but this thing's shaving over a second off, or almost a second off, to get you down to that. And then the Merc foregrip for both recoil, hip fire, and that's kind of how you go. If you're going to use it probably for range, maybe go with the Commando foregrip. If you want to try sniper support, I don't think that's where it fits because it has too much side-to-side wobble. But let me know what your guys' thoughts down in the comment section. Hopefully you guys get a chance to use the weapon sooner than later. Hopefully they get a patch out before people go wild trying to figure out how to unlock this thing. So appreciate y'all supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you're brand new and want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.